Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the guy who knows everybody, John Gutierrez.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Paul. And thank you again for tuning in to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We are once again here at OC Talk Radio. We thank everybody for tuning in. And I'm your host, John Gutierrez, Senior Vice President here at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And we have with us another community leader, a great friend of ours, longtime member of our chamber, Mr. Jay Ungos, who's the president and founder of SBDN, which is Small Business Diversity Network. Also, he has created called Tag Network, and he's also, of course, an entrepreneur who created a digital business card that when I met him first, he was just all over helping everybody with their businesses. And again, welcome, Mr. Jay Ungos.
What's going on, Johnny G? Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us, Jay. I know that we have a lot to cover because there's a lot you're doing in the community for a long time. How long have you been with us at the chamber? Because I know we connected about 8 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably like 7 to 8 years.
7
when
years
I
ago,
first
right?
started to hit the Orange County, community.
And tell us, you started because of your digital business card business that you were out there networking with people?
That's right. Yeah, I started 2010. Started that business. Got a lot of inspiration from, just my prior career in the mortgage industry and sales. So, I figured out, I wanted to do something different. Started my own company in 2010, and here I am.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So you were in the real estate industry.
I was, yeah. So my what we refer to as the good old days, back in '99 till the bubble hit in 2008. Yeah, I was crushing it. Doing mortgage lending for GMAC.
Paul, your mic's on. I'm sorry.
Homecomings Financial. So my background was in Orange County, but I really learned a lot from that experience. Working with a great group of folks.
Let me start off by I want to make sure we get into all the business stuff that we're doing in the community, but we have a lot of listeners that are our youth chamber, a lot of our members, and I love sharing the story of who you are. So let's dive in a little bit into who you are, where you grew up. Tell us a little bit about. I know obviously you're Filipino.
Yep.
From the islands. Can you share a little bit about the background, the family, just the history of your family and who you all are and how you started this whole thing, man?
Yeah, we're gonna take it way back. So I came here in '81. I was 7. Don't do the math, guys. Had very, very limited English. Grew up in Highland Park.
Was that a challenge? The limited
it was
English?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Coming here was definitely a big change for us. It was just my family, my brother, and I. So we grew up in Highland Park, in LA. It was a pretty tough neighborhood back in the days, man.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
You know how it was. But growing up, we went to elementary school, but back in the 80s, there was a bunch of gangs there. You know what I mean? So my dad was like, after a couple of years, after my first scrap at like elementary school, I'm like, I got to get the kids out of here. So he moved us out. We went to the valley, grew up in the valley.
Pretty hot, right?
Yeah,
the valley.
Burbank, that's where I grew up. Went to college in Pasadena, went to, high school at Providence High School, Catholic school.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to keep me out of trouble, but Catholic school, that's where they put all the troubled kids there.
You know what?
It was great fun, though.
I didn't realize that.
It's a joke that we have, but,
Paul, do I have sound in my mic? I just want to make sure. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. So was that, going from the islands to the U.S. to being now in Catholic school, what would you say that as a kid, you were already being instilled a lot of what you're, obviously the toolbox of today in your life? What were you learning as a young kid from your parents, from the school, the school of knots, right? Like being out in the streets, like in Burbank and in the valley. Not that the streets are bad, but you said, you had transitioned from a tough neighborhood to a better neighborhood, right?
So, that's a great question. So, growing up, my parents had always instilled God first, God, family, then finance. So, that really stuck with me. Growing up in a valley was a very diverse community.
Okay.
You know what I mean? My best friend was Hispanic, my Armenians, Black, Asians, but primarily, when I grew up, it was my best friend was like Hispanic. So, we're that's why I really got accustomed to, really hanging out, getting the culture down, and then, it was just a good. It really like molded me because moving into Orange County, this is like, it's so diverse in Orange County that I was so used to this, but now I get to take it to the next level, and really get to, get to be able to relate to the communities out here.
So, as a young man, let me just take you back there. Being Filipino, would you say there wasn't a lot of Filipino families around then?
There,
valley?
there
in the
was,
Burbank area?
but primarily they were like in Glendale, Eagle Rock,
Okay.
and then the other hot spots were like for us were like in LA,
Uh-huh.
Cerritos, Carson area. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my
Yeah.
ethnic background and who I am and everything. But just growing up, I was able to get to hang out with both communities, but more primarily I was really growing up, I really got to learn how to mix with all the cultures, and I think that helps me now because I'm able to kind of understand everybody and a little bit about their culture, and that helps me relate to them a little bit better.
That's great. And I love how you said earlier that your dad, I don't know if you want to put that. Paul keeps looking at me like, what's that sound? He's going crazy. He's a busy guy, Paul. That's why his phone keeps ringing, man. I mean, he had the governor calling him earlier from the office.
Governor's office.
Governor's office.
Governor's office.
And I guess going into the whole diversity, right?
Right.
That's kind of cool that you were able to like intermix with all these, because you probably learned a lot about the food, the culture, right, the music, right, which plays such a huge role in what you're doing today.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were spoiled back in the 80s, 90s. I always believed that we had the best of everything, especially music. Just growing up, the way hip hop, new wave, the way the music is just
I kind of
totally
see
different.
you like being one of those DJs or something like.
Yeah?
Did you ever
funny
do that?
I did in
Did
high
you?
school. Yeah,
No way.
so I got to do that. I back in the
Like
days,
the party cruise or something?
party cruise, like the
Yeah.
hot import nights. That was a
What?
big thing. So I was a
No
little
way.
racer back then too.
Were you in the magazines?
I don't know. I wouldn't say my car because I didn't have that much money growing up.
There's some
but
nice cars.
There was
during
some
those,
nice cars,
people
but
fixing up some nice cars. Yeah,
but I definitely had friends who were into that, and I love sports, basketball,
Yeah.
football. So growing up, that was pretty cool.
You
but
play sports in the high school?
I did. Yeah, I played basketball in high school.
Okay, you're a little point guard.
I was a point guard / shooting guard.
Nice.
But more point.
I always say sports plays such a huge role in our
Yes.
lives. That's why my son, who's in sports now, right? I love the whole just team concept, right? It teaches how to fight for the bone and how to
Right.
compete, and that's really the business world today, right?
It
You got to
is.
compete, you got to fight for the business, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you have to learn how to be a team player.
That's right.
Would you say sports did that for you?
It did, and it really taught me the grind. Like, I'm not the biggest guy out there, but playing football, because I was playing like in 6th or 8th grade. They were supposed to have a football team
Okay.
at Providence, but they didn't.
Okay.
So I ended up, going into basketball. But, I using that analogy with Dennis Rodman, he wasn't the biggest guy out there, but he wanted the ball more
The
than
most.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
The most.
Yeah.
So I use that mentality in a sense where, if you really want something that bad, you're going to make it happen. So that was actually my interview. I used that, and I told Shannon Thurman, who hired me with no experience, I said, hey, I may not have all the experience, but I'll guarantee you this. I'll be your top 3 out of the 15 you hire. And I did that.
Wow.
And I used that analogy with Dennis Rodman, and he hired me on that day.
No way.
And I ended up becoming the number one guy in the
Wow.
mortgage industry for at least Ames back in the day. Yeah.
That goes to show that obviously playing sports, right, plays a
Right.
huge role and it makes a difference. Share with us a little bit once you got out of high school and you entered that world of, I guess you could say, business. You're going into the whole mortgage. What was that like? I mean, were you part of that whole boom, but at the same time, part of the whole like when it went down pretty bad?
Yeah, so let me give you a little background on that. So coming out of high school, I went into Pasadena City College. Filipino, we're in our backgrounds in medical, right?
Yes.
So my dad was a doctor, my mom was a clinical lab scientist. So I actually, believe it or not, I'm a licensed X-ray tech,
Oh wow.
medical assistant.
Okay.
So, I did that. But when it got to my clinicals, and I got to see like a bunch of sick people, you had to really have a passion for that. And, I'm like, that's when I told my parents, I'm like, I did it, I tried it, but the medical industry is just not for me. So I did a lot of praying. I met my wife, and from there, everything just took off.
Shout out to the wife, right?
Shout out to the wife. Yeah, you always need, somebody on your side. Like for me, that I felt like that's what I needed to really anchor me. And she pretty much believes everything that I can do. So, taking that, I was actually going to technology. That was my first thing, but I ended up getting hired as an internet support for this mortgage company.
Okay.
So I did all their internet training, marketing. I did it in 6 months. I probably moved up like 6 positions to where I became marketing director. And then I finally met the sales guy. I would set up the booth. It was a lot of hustle, man, like a lot of work. And then I divvy it up to the guy, lay it up, and then once I sold the guy, I introduced a sales rep. And then he showed me his paycheck. And once he showed me his paycheck, I was like, there's something wrong here. And that changed everything. I went into sales after that.
That's too funny.
Yeah. So
You're like, I need to change what I'm doing.
well, I had a baby coming. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So I couldn't work any harder. So I'm like, I could learn it. You know what I mean? The funny thing was that first company, WMC, didn't want to hire me after they saw what I did. So I got referred over to my guy over at Shannon Thurman in Orange County. He started Ames Direct. It was a new startup in OC.
Okay.
That's where I got my start. And ever since then, I didn't look back. Moved in Orange County in 99, and I've been here ever since.
And would you say is that where you felt that you learned more of your sales techniques and things like that?
It is, yeah. So sales is, you're always going to need that in business. To me, it wasn't about the sale. It was more for earning the client's trust. It's always about bringing value. I've always told people I'm a relationship guy. Business comes second to me.
Yes.
I always want them to be able to know what I can do. And, if they gave me a task or if they're able to give me their business, then I'd do everything I could possibly can to make it happen. So, it's kind of like that servant kind of thing where let me prove myself first, roll up my sleeves, let me show what I could do, and then be able to. And I know once you build that trust, then the business will come.
And at what point did you decide to launch the digital business card business as an entrepreneur?
So in 2008, you guys know what happened. I tried to go back in the mortgage industry again, but I'm like, didn't really like it. So, at that time, we had 3 houses because we were still living that mortgage lifestyle,
Yeah.
And that's when I knew my wife really loved me, because I told her, hey, do we want to keep this Orange County lifestyle, or can we start over and let me invest this in a business?
Okay.
And she's like, pray about it, do what you feel is best. And that's when I did it. I started my own company in 2010.
Wait, hold on. Let's give another shout out to
Yeah.
the wife again, because that is some great advice, right? Pray about it
Pray about it.
and think about it, but she supported you,
That's right.
right? That's sometimes some of the things instead of putting a barrier there and saying, no,
Right.
you're crazy, you shouldn't do this. Are you kidding me? It could have gone a different route.
That's right.
And she said, no, pray about this. If you feel you want to do this, I'm with you. Let's do this.
Right.
That says a lot, right?
Yeah, she saw the look. Don't get me wrong. But once they buy in, it's like it's on. You needed that extra.
Yeah.
You know, because I always believed in balance. And if you don't have the balance, then it's going to be tough going all in. So in order to get all in, you got to, you know.
So you had an
always gotta check
investment,
with
you put it into it, and you started that business.
That's it. Yeah, in 2010, never looked back. You know, I always believed in, you know, being able to, whatever gets you up, you got to have the passion for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's why I did what I did, because mortgage, lending, loans, that didn't get me out of bed.
Yeah.
The money was good, but it's just, I felt like that wasn't my calling. I just needed something else.
Just wasn't there, huh?
It just wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this was.
It was, yeah. I mean, look where we're at now, and you know, the journey in my mind is a little different because you just never know till you go through it, right?
Well, being an entrepreneur is not easy because
It's not easy.
because you have to kind of create your own journey.
That's right.
My dad always had this old saying, and being Filipino and Latinos, there's probably a lot of old quotes and old sayings from our grandparents, our parents, right? And my dad always would say this saying in Spanish, "Como corre el agua," which means how the water flows, right? Like how the water flows in the river around the rocks. Life is like that, kind of like what Bruce Lee had said about the study of the water, the flow of the water, and I think as an entrepreneur, you kind of have to do that, right?
You have to.
There's
Yep.
days that you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I think I should be doing this,
Right.
and you're like, let's try it.
Let's try it.
Trial and error. And you're just, and people may look at you like, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? And you're like, I don't know, but something tells me in my gut. And like you said, pray about it, right?
Right.
You pray about it. I pray every morning. I get up and I say my prayers and I'm like, lead me the right direction.
That's right.
Lead me the way you think you can lead me, right? And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not.
Right.
So I can imagine you being an entrepreneur was not easy.
No, it wasn't. You know, I always tell people this is probably like the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's the most satisfying thing I've ever done.
Yes.
You know, it's just, you know, we have to get it done. There is no excuse. I have 4 kids, so you know.
Shout out to the kids
Shout out to the kids.
for keeping your dad motivated.
We gotta make it happen.
Right?
So-
So at what point now you're at these events, because I'm running into you at these events,
Right.
networking, right? The chamber and other networking events, the Asian chamber, many different chamber events in the community. And at some point you decide to create, is it the tag network?
Yes.
That happens next, right?
No, the Tag Network was actually a rebrand from the Bar Pages. So
Okay.
it's an extension. This is like next level with the digital business card, how it evolved. You know, going through the life of an entrepreneur, you become sort of like a networker, right? So,
yeah.
you know, you go through all the channels, the chambers of commerce, networking events.
Yeah.
And then I ran into like the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce. Shout out to my guys over there. And also the Asian Business Association of Orange County.
That's right.
The Hispanic Chamber.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I felt like going into the networking events with the ethnic chambers, I felt at home.
Okay.
It wasn't always so transactional sometimes, you know, nothing against the chambers or
Yeah.
just some of the things I've just, you know, you've experienced it, I'm sure, when you went into some networking and it just feels transactional. They just, you know, trying to sell on you all the time. Like, bro, get away from me. You ever get like that?
Well, you
know,
everybody's
mean,
trying to sell me.
Everybody's got to sell. I know everybody's got to eat, but I'm like, geez, we just got here.
It's kind of like one of those, what do they call the little markets they put at the downtown areas with all the vegetables and fruits? What is
Right.
it? It's a pop-up,
It's a
right?
pop-up,
And everybody's
man.
trying to sell you something, right?
Jeez.
It's like, hey, you want oranges, apples? What do you want? You know,
Right.
what you got, you know?
What you got?
But if you're not selling, right, then you're not closing. You're not closing. You're not feeding the kids. I mean, so that's
Right.
the fact that you continue to get up every day, right, says a lot, because you said, I got no choice.
Got no
no
choice.
excuses. I got to do this.
Right.
Right? And then eventually, I know you created SBDN, which is the Small Business Diversity Network.
Right.
Share with everybody what that is and what's going on with it, because I think you're doing some great things in the community.
Yeah, so, you know, really learning and growing from just some of the networking opportunities that I learned from, like the Filipino Chamber, the Asian Business Association. Through the Asian Business Association, I met some really great contacts. They had great technical assistance, education that taught me how to get certified as a minority-owned business. And they showed me the advantages. I'm like, wow, so I could actually work with companies like Disney, Southern California Edison, Charter, and I ended up getting contracts.
Let's repeat that again, Jay, because I think a lot of people don't know that, right?
Right.
Minority-owned business. What does that mean, Jay, for people that don't know?
So if you're 51% minority owned or even veteran, women, LGBT, or disabled owned business, you could get certified as a small business. And what that means is, you're classified as a disadvantaged business. So basically, you have big organizations, companies, agencies like, SBA, the state, basically anybody who gives contracts. They want to make it to where the disadvantaged businesses, they also have a chance to be able to get these procurement opportunities, right?
It's kind of like this rule is set up in place so when Disneyland only is giving the big projects to the big dogs, right?
Right.
They're kind of like, in a way, forced to say, hey, you also have to give some to the small businesses. Am I correct?
Yes. I don't know if they're forced to, but the higher they give makes, it's better for the community.
Maybe not forced, but
right.
But they're advised.
They're advised, yeah. And it makes their portfolio look better because they do have diverse partners as well. So they just want to make sure that they're doing the best for the community. So, things like that, what I've learned, it really motivated me. So when it became my turn to be able to lead that organization, the first thing I did coming out of COVID, it was hard, right? And my whole expertise was in digital. So coming out of COVID, it was a perfect transition to really turn that organization around, because now if we created a solid digital foundation, we knew that when the market started opening up, that it would just be a perfect combination of both communities. So that's what I did. That's the first thing I did for the past couple of years, is really being able to build that. Collaboration is key. Being able to collaborate with all the Asian chambers of commerce, the Vietnamese, Filipino, Korean, Chinese, so being able to bring that. So not only from Orange County, but we also collaborate with Cal Asian. I also talked to all the ABAs from ABA San Diego, LA to Inland Empire. But then we also went outside of the state to outside of the whole United States. So there was US PAC. We partnered with National Diversity Coalition and NAC.
I got to tell you something. Listening to you reminds me of when I watch Guy Fieri on TV. And I say this because Ruben Franco, our president, who you know well, always makes fun of me that I remind him. His son says I remind him
a little
of
bit.
Guy Fieri because of my goatee and my hair is all standing, right? And when I watch these food channel shows,
right,
I love when they go into the Asian communities, because when he talks about Mexican food, I know Mexican food, right?
Right.
But he brings out these, like, they bring out the bowls, and they're like, okay, in here we got the pork, we got the veggies, we got this, and these delicious looking beautiful bowls of like pho or other stuff that they're making. A lot of what you're doing reminds me of that. Like you got tech,
right?
You're passionate about tech. For some reason, you just love tech, but you're passionate about people, and you're passionate about the community. Am I right here, Jay?
I mean, it goes back to...
You're like one of these bowls of a little bit of everything to create a good recipe.
Right. Now, why should Asians have all the fun? Why should it just be... Don't get me wrong, I love Asian food. But you asked, why SBDN?
Right.
This is why. If we could do that, right, with the Asian and the benefits of collaborating, when we brought those groups together, we ended up having more resources, more programming, and even more funding between organizations. More funding and resources meant more impact in our communities.
Yeah.
So, we did that with a board that I inherited, basically. But I'm like thinking as an entrepreneur.
No. You're thinking as Jay, who was in Burbank and in the Valley.
Right,
That's where SBDN was born.
right.
You already had this in your mind as a kid, in your heart. Like you were hanging with the Armenian kids.
That's right.
The Mexican kids, the everything. Like you already had. This is Jay when he was a kid.
So that's a great point, because now when we put this together, I went out and I actually created our own dream team.
Okay.
So,
I want to be on the dream team. What the heck?
Well, that's why we're talking, bro.
How come I'm not on the dream team? What's going on here?
I've always wanted, hey, for the record, guys, I've always wanted to hang out with this dude ever since, when we did some stuff at ABALC, but the timing wasn't there yet. But this time, the timing is now. So I'm really excited. Nothing against Ruben. Ruben's he's the godfather, but I know Johnny G and me, we're different. We could literally bring the community together, from the baby boomers to the Gen X, millennials, Gen Y, Gen X, Gen Zs.
Gen Zs, yeah.
I think if they put us together, man, we could do some crazy stuff.
I think you and I see eye to eye in the sense that we're passionate about the community. We want to make a difference. We want to mentor young kids. We want to help mid-sized businesses. And obviously, we want to collaborate with the big corporations, right?
Right.
We want a little bit of everything. Like we said, it's a great bowl of great recipe, right? But at the same time, you got to have fun.
That's right.
Because that's in our blood, in our culture.
Right.
Our food, our music, the art,
everything.
So we want to have fun, right? While doing it. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Why does it have to be just too corporate, right?
Right.
Because small businesses, as entrepreneurs, we struggle a lot.
Yep.
And a lot of stress. And sometimes you need a little stress reliever by having a little bit of fun.
That's right.
Like we're talking about possibly doing this event September 15th. We'll just throw it out there, right? We're talking about, doing a Hispanic Heritage Month together with mariachi.
Yep.
And music and the community, right?
Right.
We're in talks about doing this. Why not have a little bit of fun?
That's right. And this guy knows what he's talking about, guys. I mean,
why do you say that, Jay? What is that coming from?
just from experience. I mean, just one of the fundraisers, let's a week and a half ago, and mind you, I was at Pachanga, okay, and I came down. I cut my trip short.
Your vacation?
My vacation, my little mini getaway, just to hang out with Johnny G on his birthday. And man, this guy knows how to have fun, and I'm so glad that I went. But he's exactly right. Just because it's business doesn't mean that it has to be boring or just about business. It's about relationships. It's about growth. It's about being able to take your connections, being able to have fun at the same time.
One of my mentors once taught me that to be a good salesman, you have to be a good problem solver. Right? You're not a salesman, you're a problem solver.
That's
in
right.
order to help somebody with a problem, you have to have a good relationship with them. You have to gain their trust, right? You've been in sales, right? So part of that is, how do you break the ice? How do you have people relax? And it's almost like, how do you break bread, right? Why do you think people have luncheons, right? Why do we do golf tournaments?
Right.
Why? Because we're trying to break bread. We're trying to gain people's trust. And then we do business, right? And so for me, that's why I'm excited about the September 15th event that we're looking at. We're looking at either 14th or 15th. We'll let people know. And possibly we're looking at Spoons, right?
Right.
There's a place that you want to do it at with Tony over there.
With Tony, yeah.
And again, Hispanic Heritage Month. I know that you have your monthly breakfast networking mixers. Share with people how they can attend these or be a part of these, because I know we only have a few minutes left. Please.
Yeah, just go to our website, sbdn.info, for more information. So we have these once a month. For the mixers, I'm really excited about the Hispanic Heritage. We did one for Black History Month. We did one for Women's History Month. We just did one for the AAPI month. So, I'm really excited about this one because I've been wanting to do a Hispanic Heritage Month mixer especially with Johnny G. So he's gonna bring a real legit mariachi band that's supposed to be off the chain. So you guys make sure
we're
you
working
come.
on the good mariachi band.
Yeah,
We're
we
working
won't
on-
say who it is, but yeah, he tells me they're the one. So
Well, you gotta have good mariachi, good music, and I won't say it, tequila. Look at Paul. Paul's giving me the look like, yeah, that's right, tequila, right? And you have a procurement conference also that it's coming up.
Yeah, so we do have a procurement conference. We just had a diversity convention back in June, but our procurement conference, you definitely don't want to miss this opportunity because it's going to be talking about certification. We're going to have all our certifying partners there, and we're going to, more importantly, we're going to have our buyers there. So if you want to meet buyers who could potentially give you contracts, definitely come to that one. We're putting that together. So it'll be somewhere in Anaheim. So as soon as we put the venue down, definitely check out our website.
And also they can find you, Jay Ungos, at Facebook, right?
Right.
A great place to connect with you there.
Or LinkedIn.
Or LinkedIn, okay. And folks, again, please connect with Jay. He's doing a lot in the community. Jay, thank you so much for being on the show. Next time you come, we're going to have you talk about all the cool tattoos.
Yeah.
I hear there's a history behind there. I know Paul's
sure.
giving me the little stinky eye. But again, president, founder of SBDN, Small Business Diversity Network, Mr. Jay Ungos. And again, he also has his digital business card business, which is really, really cool. If you don't have a digital business card, have Jay set it up for you. Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Continue all success. And thank you for everything you're doing in the community, brother.
I appreciate it. Hey, stay connected with me. Just text digital to 90407. Talk to you soon.
All right, Paul, let's take it away.
Well, there you have it. Another reason to tune in each and every time to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County. Powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.